everyone, I'm Captain Logan. This is Jayson.
It's me!
Like how we felt about
The Power Rangers, whatever it's called, special thing.
Power Rangers Once and Always.
Oh.
This is the Mighty Morphin 30th anniversary special on Netflix. It's 55 minutes long and it just posted today. And Jayson and I, being big Ranger fans, we could not help but go ahead and watch it and review it on the day. So we're real on top of this, real on time for this, which is a little bit unlike us. Usually we wait a few days and we of course, you know, when we do theatrical releases, we kind of have to do that. But this was short and it's streaming. So as we always do with the show, we are going to do spoilers at the end. It's possible that some folks, if you're watching live, will not have seen this yet. But I imagine that the majority of people that wouldn't even think to click on this have probably already watched it, again, given how short it is. So as we always do, we'll do a sign flip at the beginning and give you best thing, worst thing, and try not to take too long on that, and then we'll just go right into spoiler territory. I actually have quite a few things to say about this, Jayson. I have quite a few notes, and yeah. I'm very interested to see what you think about this, because we watched it together, and I got some of your in-the-moment reaction, but I actually don't 100% know where you're coming down on this. We've not talked too much about it yet.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of excited about.
Yes.
This is an interesting project for lots of reasons. Originally, it was assumed that this would be another reunion episode inside of the current season of Power Rangers. So we've got Cosmic Fury coming out, which is the unprecedented third season of Dino Fury, renamed to Cosmic Fury. They're going to space. I'm not into that show. I've not watched very much of that, so I don't really have a dog in that. I've looked at the Zed stuff, but that's really all I've seen.
Yeah.
And it was kind of assumed that, like with a lot of reunion episodes, bringing the band back together episodes in Power Rangers, it would be focused on that team, but then folks that you're familiar with from old seasons would come back.
Yeah.
And that was not what ended up happening, and it got a lot of people really excited about it. I have not seen this kind of hype for a Power Rangers thing ever, I don't think, except for maybe the 2017 movie. Right? Like, it's kind of nuts, all the people that are coming out of the woodwork for this, for better or worse. I'm going to be interested to see how many people who haven't watched Power Rangers in a million years and are going to come into this and be and actually be into it, and how many people are going to be disappointed with it.
Yeah.
Given that it is made somewhat like a modern Power Rangers production, I kind of assumed even before seeing it that would put some people off.
Right. And I don't know anything about the hype at all. Like, I didn't really, look at anything before I watched it.
Maybe it just feels that way because of the circles I travel in and channels that I'm subscribed to, but I saw so much material for this every time a teaser came out or any information came out about this special at all. And I think Netflix did a really good job of advertising it and keeping people in the loop on it. There were clips from this put up just like you do for theatrical movies.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. But anyway, so it's really interesting because of the way they handled this as a special, that it is a Mighty Morphin thing first. And really entirely. I mean, this is, in some ways, the Mighty Morphin special you would almost expect if you'd never had any Power Rangers past the Mighty Morphin era.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways anyway. Not that there aren't acknowledgments to other shows and stuff, but it almost goes out of its way. Well, I would say it does. It goes out of its way to go, this is Mighty Morphin, and trying really hard not to leave out old fans that haven't bothered with Power Rangers for 20, 25 years, right? Yeah. But it's also really interesting because of the actors that have come back that have never been in the show again or haven't in a long time. We've not seen Sam Jones as that character since 1994. Like, I don't think he ever came back, right?
No. Maybe, because he wasn't there for, Megaforce, right?
Yeah, he wasn't there for Legendary Battle, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
That was the only thing.
And it wasn't good, so I haven't gone back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's the first time David Yost has come back too, but of course he was in the show longer.
Right.
And so I think the only character from the original show, like of the original 5 now, that has never come back is Kimberly. Like, she came back for the Turbo movie, but that was still in that same era.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting. There's, of course, been a lot of talk about, a lot of disappointment in actors that didn't come back for various reasons. Interestingly, and we'll get into the review here in a second, interestingly, the only actor that actually, this was filmed, of course, before Jason David Frank died, so he could have been in it if he'd wanted to be. Yeah. And ironically, he was maybe the first actor to say no, because he decided to retire, he said, from Power Rangers and didn't want to come back for any of the 30th anniversary stuff, and for whatever reason. And Amy Jo Johnson then later decided she wasn't going to come in for this either, and she had her own reasons, and people speculated about that. And I agree with her on Twitter when she's like, none of your beeswax, right? Like, it's sad that she didn't come back for this, but I think it's important to note that it shoots in New Zealand, and not everybody's got the time to get out to New Zealand.
Right.
So, that was a lot of it with her. But anyway, it's just interesting, the characters that ended up not showing up for this, and Jason David Frank came back over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And isn't here for this, and that made people sad. And especially for obvious reasons, now that he's passed away, we can get one more appearance for him as Tommy. But you've got but I guess what I was going to say is, if Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank had wanted to come in for this, they could have. And it's pretty clear that the original premise for this was about the original 5 Rangers.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much of it was based in the script that David Yost was writing for a miniseries for Netflix. Do you know about that whole thing?
No.
Okay, so David Yost was pitching Netflix and several other streaming services a Power Rangers reunion series that would be a little bit more serious, but still tongue-in-cheek and maybe somewhat campy. Yeah. But what he was pitching sounded certainly darker than what we got.
Yeah.
But he wanted to bring back the original 5 and Tommy and make a big deal out of where everybody's been all this time, and really flesh out backstories. And it was supposed to be like I don't know if it was a time travel thing, but I can't remember what it was called. But it was a quantum. I think quantum was in the title. Mm-hmm. And I think it was supposed to have a little bit more to do with later series also. But anyway, I get the sense that maybe some of what he was, or at least the flavor of what he was talking about with that, might have inched its way into this.
Yeah.
And that may have something to do with why he decided to do it. But anyway, I was just going to say that the only actor that couldn't come back, and remember, Jason David Frank was still around. This was made before he passed away. But Austin St. John couldn't have done it if he wanted to. Yeah. Because he can't leave the country right now because of the legal issues that he's dealing with. And that's the thing that I'd forgotten about. I was like, I'm not sure why he didn't do this. Oh, he can't leave the country. That's why he didn't do it.
Oh,
as far as I understand it. Anyway, let's go ahead and a whole lot of preamble and background and stuff, because that's some of what's interesting about all of this. Yeah. But real quick, I was also going to say, it's kind of funny that some of the second tier Rangers, the second group of Rangers, end up showing up in this and being major characters for kind of the same reason they were in the first place. Those same actors didn't come in for this.
Yeah.
And they were cast, and I'm really glad that Kat and Rocky are in this, and I wish Adam had more screen time, but I'm glad he's here too. But anyway, Jason, would you give us just a premise for this show?
Yes.
Before we get into giving away everything?
So, Rita is now a robot.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Joshua. Quantum Continuum is what it was called.
Okay.
I think it might have had Time Force stuff in it, but I can't remember. I think the scripts for that are actually out, or pieces of it are online, because I've seen some. I think maybe on YouTube, Six Ranger reviewed them. I can't remember, but there've been some discussions about the story. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Rita's now a robot, and
Yep.
she goes and she's just trying to capture as many Rangers as she can, so that she can power this device thing, to so that she can go to her past self and teach her all the stuff that she learned, and teach her how to be a better Rita. And while all that is happening, this is like a year after Trini dies, and so her daughter is like wanting revenge on Rita, and so they like the other Rangers have to teach her how to be a Ranger, and yeah, that's basically it. That's the main stuff.
Pretty much. Okay, Jason, do you want to go first or second on your sign flip?
I want to go second.
Okay. Well, I'll do this very quickly. Jason, have you ever seen a thing that both satisfied you and disappointed you simultaneously?
Yes.
Because that is exactly what I had with this.
Yes.
I enjoyed this thoroughly. I was having a ton of fun with this all the way through. I loved it tonally and was really kind of surprised by that. I don't know if I can say a balance, like if I'm looking, because I think it's difficult with a thing like this to decide what standards to hold it to. And walking into this, I was really kind of worried about the who is this for question.
Yeah.
Because all the advertising made it look like it was made a lot like current shows, like Neil Saban and Hasbro stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know that that's going to appeal to the main demographic that's going to look at this. And I don't know if they're even aware of the fact that the majority of their audience is going to be people in the 30s and 40s like me.
Yeah.
And when you look at all the people online talking about it, I'm pretty sure that that's a lot of who's watching this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice that simultaneously we can have this was known before the show came up, so I don't think we're spoiling too much. But it's nice that we can have a major character die at the beginning, and then have Rita actually say the word "kill."
Yeah.
And have, I mean, it's certainly corny and there's some cheesy acting because it's Power Rangers, but it's still on that level to some degree. But it's elevated a little bit closer in at least places to a Time Force or an SPD or something. Yeah. I would say maybe not quite to the best of those when they get smarter and more sophisticated. Maybe it's not to an RPM plays.
Yeah.
But I like that the cheeseball humor and the really tongue-in-cheek nature of it is very intact, and it feels really faithful to the feel of Mighty Morphin, while still being a little bit edgier, at least for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about it. And I thought there was a lot of charm to it. I thought there was a lot of reverence for the material.
Yeah.
And I found myself holding it very much to Power Rangers standards. And I wasn't, and I know that sounds kind of obvious, because you might say, well, that's just what you have to do. It's Power Rangers. But I didn't know how authentic it was going to feel. I thought it might try too hard to be real serious. And,
yeah, me too.
And it doesn't go too far in that direction, I don't think. Best thing is absolutely David Yost.
Yeah.
And I think Jones is also wonderful.
Yeah.
But Yost carries the thing for me. He steps right back into those shoes, and Sam Jones does to some degree too. But Yost is just right back to where he was in Zeo, I think.
Yeah.
Like, and some of it's the writing where he's got all that technobabble, and he's talking more like he was in Zeo than in Mighty Morphin. I was a little bit worried that maybe he would start with the really in your face like science speak, and it's technobabble on like a Star Trek level, but he still talks like a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he just like he did in Mighty Morphin, but especially in Zeo, Yost is playing it real straight, and he's got a lot of really stupid things to say, and it feels like the actor doesn't even know, or at least the character doesn't know how dumb it is. Like, again, tongue-in-cheekness, but everybody's playing it straight, like, 60s Batman or something. And I was just very impressed with him, and he carried me through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Worst thing is weird, because and again, I don't want to spoil too much yet, but nothing surprised me story-wise or like character appearances or anything like that. And this being a reunion thing that is very much about fan service, honestly, I thought it was going to jam-pack way too much in, and it was going to need like an hour and a half or 2 hours to breathe, but it's only got 55 minutes. It doesn't have that problem. I think actually and this might be conflicting with my best thing or with my worst thing, which is why I'm a little bit conflicted about it, Jason. But my second best thing is probably pacing. Actually, which I'm shocked to say.
Yeah.
It's got the standard Power Rangers formula, and it figures out how to get in, backstory and all of that. With that, there's stuff missing. There's things I want that I don't have, and we'll talk about all of that. There are main characters that I know nothing about where they've been in the last 30 years, and I don't love that. I am confused about canonical and lore stuff. There's things, particularly right at the beginning, where I've just got huge questions, and I don't know if anything we're looking at actually makes any sense.
Yeah.
But it's Power Rangers, so like let me say this real quick too. I found myself laughing both at it and with it, which is what I've always had with Power Rangers. Right. So I was just right at home. Like the things that I want to knock it for are some of the things that I'm always knocking, particularly Mighty Morphin for. Yeah. And that's part of the fun that I have with it, is complaining about it.
Unironically.
Yeah, just asking, like, how does this work? And this stuff doesn't make it. And, like, criticizing it is probably 30% of the fun for me. Yeah. Okay, maybe it's 50% of the fun for me. But I found myself, the worst thing is, there were, like I said, not a lot of surprises, and I expected more like cameos and things. And I'm surprised that I'm complaining about that, because I was afraid that was going to bog it down too much. Yeah. But I mean, I could have used a little more, fleshing out the world. Yeah. And in that kind of thing. So anyway, I am certainly feeling it. I had a good time with it. I thought it was a little bit anticlimactic by the end. Yeah. But we'll talk about it. Jason, how did you feel about Once and Always?
So it was better than I expected. I expected this to not be that great. I don't know. New Power Rangers, I just don't really care usually, but I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch, because we're doing a review, so, I'll watch it. And
well, it was different because it's just Mighty Morphin.
Yeah, it's just Mighty Morphin, and that's probably my best thing, is it's just a Mighty Morphin episode. It's just a 50-minute Mighty Morphin, and it doesn't even feel 50 minutes. Like, I feel like it just feels like a 20-minute Mighty Morphin episode. They got, kidnapping Rangers and turning them into little figures. Like, that's just a thing.
Were those all just Lightning Collection figures?
Because, they turn into, pachinko balls and footballs and, little, stuff like that. So I thought that was really fun. Worst thing, I'm going to have to say writing. I didn't like... I thought... I don't know, I just thought a lot of the dialogue was just... It just didn't... It was just weird. I just didn't really like it. I can't think of the word right now. It was just kind of awkward.
Was some of it, forced references to things? Because I had a little bit of that, but not as much as I thought I would. Or is it... I guess what I'm fishing for here is, what was weird about it versus a regular episode of Mighty Morphin? Or are you holding it to a different standard for whatever reason?
I am holding it to a different standard because it's New Power Rangers, and to me the writing it's weird because it feels like Mighty Morphin, but it's like Dino Fury writers trying to actually trying to do Mighty Morphin, and it works to an extent.
Okay.
It works, but half of the dialogue just doesn't work for me. I don't know.
I do wish they had brought back somebody that wrote on Mighty Morphin.
Yeah.
And what's his name who show ran a lot and still was writing scripts all the way up until just a couple of seasons ago.
Remember.
But like, where's he? Like, I don't know why they couldn't bring him on. Because this is written by the duo that's been doing Dino Fury, and they're writing Cosmic Fury, and they didn't do Beast Morphers, which I think was kind of elevated at what I saw of it anyway, and at a better standard than Neo Saban had been.
Yeah.
But they're the guys that did what was the show before that? Ninja Steel.
Yeah.
Which is a fun premise, but is basically quintessential Neo Saban.
Yeah.
Especially after the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, like I was a little disappointed with who they decided to get to make this.
Yeah.
But having said that, going in knowing it was them, I was actually pretty impressed with them.
Yeah. I actually
Judd Lynn, thank you, Billy the Kid Lawyer.
And I didn't think I would say this, but yeah, I am feeling it.
Okay, I couldn't tell which way you were gonna flip your sign.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the main thing that flips it for you? Because I can kind of tell that it's not as hard of a green flip as mine probably is.
I'm just not. I don't know.
But like, what makes it good enough to go green, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I like how, like, classy it is. Just how, like, I don't know, it just feels like a Mighty Morphin episode. And, that was what I wanted, but what I didn't think I was gonna get. And so I was just kind of surprised that they actually did the thing that I thought they weren't gonna do.
Yeah.
And that I'd hoped they were gonna do.
Okay, well, we'll get into it. Billy the Kid Lawrence just put in a $10 super chat. Let's go ahead and read that, and we'll get into spoiler territory starting here.
Yeah.
Billy's saying, all-out destruction is rarely the most optimal strategy. Is outright absurd, given this franchise's history, and then they end with all-out destruction anyway. Yeah, that's true. Where Min, who is Trini's daughter, who has she's basically Robin in Batman Forever. She's got at all. You have a lot of this in superhero stories where she's and she kind of felt like an Arrow character, and her acting was about on that same level. And I mean, it's Power Rangers, so it's totally right for that. But I think she totally could have been a Arrow sidekick who has a chip on her shoulder. Yeah. And somebody has killed her mom or something, right? But anyway, it was like that, and she's wanting to. We're in full-on spoiler territory now. She's wanting to get revenge on Rita, and all of her ideas will just go, straight up and kill everything.
Yeah.
And yes, that line was really funny, and thanks for quoting it.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny.
Because I didn't have that quote written down. All-out destruction is rarely the most optimal strategy. They're playing a little bit fast and loose with don't escalate the fight.
Yeah.
Certainly. And this is a little nitpicky, but you get to the end, and she's like, after she becomes a ranger, she's like, well, can I just, beam around anywhere I need to? And Zach or Billy or whoever is like, well, just make sure nobody sees you. And I'm like, no, that's using your powers for personal gain. You only got 3 rules, guys. And that's one of them.
Yeah. Before we get into any more spoiler, I need to go to the bathroom real quick.
You couldn't have done that before we started?
I know!
It's like we're on a road
really
trip right
mad
now.
at myself.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be, watching, so.
Okay. I'll go ahead and read a few comments here, I guess. Thomas Lowe, Min would fit in CW shows. See, yeah, that's what I think. I'm glad somebody agrees with me on that. Joey Elaine, yep, they were Lightning figures. For most, I think Tommy, Kim, and Jayson were made for this, which is interesting because there are Lightning figures for those characters, all of them. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to be careful not to say too much before Jayson gets back, so I'll just read a few of these comments. Joey Lane, again, this special is cheesy, but so is Power Rangers, so it's fun. And I don't know if this makes any sense, but I worried that it would be cheesy in a much more generic way, and I think that was one of the things I was most impressed with it about, is that it wasn't overly Neo Saban. And the cinematography, we're replacing the camera and all of that is more or less the way those shows are made now, but it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I wonder if I'd gone into this not knowing that it was so much of the current team working on those shows, Jason, if I would have been more disappointed with it than I was. Like, I think it helped that I was primed for it, and that I've seen some of the more recent things a little bit, that I've sampled some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I'm going to be interested to see what, like guys my age who haven't watched Power Rangers in a long time will say when they see this and aren't prepped for that. Because I think for some of them, it might watch like a totally different thing, or too much of a different thing. And for some of them, it might just be, enough trappings of the original where it's the same formula, and some people might just be taken in by the iconography, that you've got the juice bar again, that you've got putties again, that you've got the big Megazord fight.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting. Like, I've already seen a little bit in the way of discourse and review and back and forth on particularly the Heroes of the Grid Facebook group. We played the board game with Renegade Studios and their other games, and I've been looking at some of what some folks there are saying, and there's a lot of, and a couple other Power Rangers groups, and there's a lot of kind of divisiveness apparently about the Megazord fight.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh God, it's so horrible looking, the CG, and then other folks are going, well, clearly you haven't watched Power Rangers in a long time. Some people are adjusted to it because that's more of what Megazord fights have looked like for a long time. Yeah, so I think there's going to be like three groups of people. You're going to have the people that have kept up with Power Rangers, they're just adjusted to that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have people that are expecting it to look like it used to because that's what they last watched. They're like, well, why isn't it just guys in suits again?
Yeah.
And then you'll have a third group that goes, yay, Megazord.
Yeah. What did you think of the Megazord fight? Because that was one of the first things that I was going to bring up.
We can go ahead and talk about that now.
Yeah.
It was about 3 times better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that I'm saying that?
Yeah.
And again, some of it is just adjustment, right? Like, you hold Power Rangers to its own standards, and I've adjusted to CG Megazord fights, and I don't like them.
Yeah.
But obviously I really wanted just guys in suits, but I'd already seen a little bit of footage of it. So
suits, for this.
Well, they'd have to build them.
It would be,
and
I don't know. I feel like it would be easier to do that than do CG, which looks terrible in the first place.
Be interesting to know how much it would cost, making the suits and putting guys in them versus, having CG artists making that. Yeah. But having said that, the textures were way nicer than I thought they would be, and when they would do close-up shots of them, just like forming together and stuff.
Yeah.
The designs were cool. I mean, it's just the original Dino Megazord design, but the colors are a little different. They're a little more textured. So there was a novelty to that for me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the smartest move they made was putting it on the moon.
Yeah.
Because it's a setting that you would expect to be in CG, where it would be harder to do a set for that.
Yeah.
And so you already you're giving them a little bit of a gimme with it, but also it's dark.
It also helps that, one, they're both robots. So that kind of made it better for me because the monster is also a robot.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And also, with the moon thing, it just looks like a video game, which is fine because it's on the moon and it just looks like a good place for a video game fighter. So
yeah, and as not great as the actual action with it looks, what makes up for it for me is they built new cockpits. They look really good.
Yeah.
They built a command center and it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I
like the arcade sticks that are hollow.
Yeah, they've got kind of modern Star Trek bridge chairs.
Yeah.
That look really comfortable.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. And the computer model, the CG model for the outside of the command center just looks boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, do you want to get into some character stuff?
Let's do that.
Okay, so we know where Billy has been all this time. And we know where Zach, or maybe not all this time, but we know what Billy and Zach have been doing lately. Billy has his own, and this might be what you would expect. This whole thing was cool to me. He's got his own. Sorry, I'm distracted by kids upstairs. My wife is taking care of them. They're fine, by the way. They're just going to bed. They don't like it when you have to change their diapers and stuff. Anyway, but. He's got his own company now, his own technologies company, and he just built the command center underneath it and let the top of it look like the old command center, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
But so he's got an observatory, like the old observatory that the command center was based on, that is just where his technology company is, and conveniently we never see it. The inside of it.
Yeah.
We just see under it in the command center.
I wish they had the
They didn't have a lot of money.
I wish that they like actually showed like some of the company stuff like above it, and they had this like so that people would be like, if they thought that they were Power Rangers, they would have like the fake command center room.
Yeah. I wish they'd been able to build something for that. And then Zach has been in Congress, which is hilarious.
I think that's really funny.
Because he does not in any way whatsoever strike me as a politician.
No.
And there's nothing that Sam Jones is doing that makes me think that's what he's been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And he just drops out of being in Congress in order to raise Trini's daughter after she dies, which is commendable, but a lot of like senators and congressmen have families. I'm not totally sure why he had to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know how he's supporting her if he's not working. I guess he just already had a lot of money from being a congressman, and so he's good.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. But some of that was really like again, I've got questions, but that's part of what's fun about it for me, where it's like, I don't know if this makes any sense in a very Power Rangers kind of way.
Yeah.
What has Kat been doing?
I don't know.
And what has Rocky been doing?
Same thing she's always been doing, trying to take over the world.
We're also doing the same thing with her that we did last time we saw her, where unless I missed dialogue somewhere, where we've never, I don't think, explicitly come out and said that she's married to Tommy. We just know that she has a kid named JJ. And if you didn't see the last time she showed up in what series was that? The last time she popped
that
in?
was I think
was
that was
Ninja Steel. The last time she was with Evil Robot Tommy.
Yeah.
The last time she was there, she has a kid named JJ, and Tommy is there, and you get the sense that they're probably married. But
that is.
It's never actually said, and they did that here too. It's never said.
Yeah. It's said in the comics.
No, I know, but it's just weird that it's never been in the show.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where if you haven't been keeping up, you'd be lost. You'd have no idea who this JJ person is, because she never says it's her kid, I don't think.
No.
She just keeps saying his name.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of... I was fine with it because I knew who he was, but like, yeah, no one... I don't know.
Are you with me that this is the best Steve Cardenas has ever been?
Yes. Yes. And he's great.
Yeah, he's really.
I actually really liked him in this.
He's got kind of, I mean, like, he's still got the earnestness that he always did, but there's something a little bit like, I have a better sense of what I'm in, and I just don't give a crap what anybody thinks of me.
Yeah.
In his performance, but he's still that character.
Yeah.
And he's just upset because he was trying to eat a sandwich. And then he got pulled into being
Yeah.
a Power Ranger again.
Yeah,
and
he
he
was
couldn't eat
trying
sandwich.
to eat his Chinese food.
Yeah, so that's his lunch. Yeah, his noodles. So I don't know. So that was a lot of fun. Let's go back to the very beginning for a second. Sorry.
And that was the perfect intro into him.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Because he's Rocky.
Which was one of the most like character specific things that's done with anybody in this. Like,
Yeah.
I really appreciate this thing likes Rocky. Nothing at all is done with Adam and Aisha, which is kind of sad. The SPA idea is interesting in setting up what will eventually become SPD, and they're kind of there just to facilitate that idea.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed with the fact that I already knew about that, because that's one of the only like cool references to other Power Rangers lore that's here, besides just occasional name drops of like species and planets and stuff. And
Yeah.
I already knew about it.
Yeah.
So it's like there were. I think a lot of diehard Power Ranger fans are probably going to be more disappointed with this than I was, because there was so much speculation about who was going to cameo. There's all this stuff about like what Rangers are going to come back. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody came back except for people that that if you were keeping up with the production of this at all, you already knew about, and nobody from a show that wasn't Mighty Morphin. Yeah. And again, I don't mean to contradict myself. I'm praising it for being a straight up Mighty Morphin thing, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't have been some appearances from.
Yeah.
All you had to do was, and some of it might have just been money and flying people out to New Zealand. I get all of that, but I think New Zealand is actually the biggest problem with this project.
Yeah.
Because there are so many, and maybe it would have been too jam-packed. I mean, again, I don't mean to contradict myself, but I think you could have done some cool cameos tastefully that I wouldn't have, messed with the runtime too much. Bulk and Skull needed to be there. They're just on a poster.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is sad. If this had been shot in California, I guarantee you would have seen 15 more people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But all you had to do was have 3 or 4 major key Rangers from other shows that are in the middle of something and go, it's morphin time. Yeah. And or whatever the call thing is, and suit up and then go fight putties.
Yeah.
Before they get in the monsters.
Yeah.
Snizzard and the Minotaur. Before they get captured. Because Robo Rita in this is basically just Draken.
Yeah.
She's just going around collecting Ranger powers. In this, she's actually like taking the Rangers themselves, but it's kind of the Draken thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was kind of. I think a lot of people were really expecting to see like maybe Jen Scott's.
Yeah.
Maybe Trent, right? Yeah. And just we didn't get any of that. And I think what made it a little bit worse is, and again, I realize for some folks I'm probably going to sound a little bit contradictory, because I really like the pacing of this and I like that it's not bogged down by too much of that, but a little bit.
Yeah.
Because what makes it awkward is here's what makes I think is the problem. What makes it awkward is that you have so much iconography with the action figures with these other shows, but you don't get to see any of these characters.
Right.
And so you go, well, we don't have access to the actors for Jayson or Tommy or Kimberly, so we're going to work them into the plot as basically being damsels in distress, and then we're never going to see them because we couldn't get those actors.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to do it with, like, 50 other Rangers.
Yeah.
Or 25, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, really prominently, they show Dino Thunder White, but I don't get to see Trent in the thing. Like, that's a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Lost Galaxy guys would want to come back. I don't know.
Are you saying that because they captured, like, 4 of them?
Yeah, they captured mostly Lost Galaxy.
Which I don't really understand, because isn't that show in the future?
No.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Oh, no, I guess it's not. But it's way out in space.
Yeah, it's set right after space.
Okay, but here's a different point that I think will stand.
Yeah.
So Bandora protocol is weird, right? Because we have a specific protocol for there's putties everywhere. That seems to be what the Bandora protocol is. Yeah. Just in case Rita puts putties all over the globe, we can call everybody to go fight them. I don't know why that's Pandora protocol. You'd think like I get the reference, but you'd think that you'd have a protocol for any time that happened with anybody.
Putty protocol.
Wouldn't you? Yeah. It seems like it's got to be Pandora just because it is Rita.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not it. Maybe that's what they would call it, even if it was cogs everywhere. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Piranatrons, or whatever it was.
Whatever it is.
I don't know. But does that mean that she also sent them out in space? Why are Lost Galaxy Rangers on Earth?
Well, because they got the Pandora protocol, and they came to Earth.
Oh, is that the idea?
Yeah, that's the idea.
You call all the Rangers wherever they are, even if they're out in space?
Yeah, but it's one planet. Like, that's
Okay.
my thing, is it's one planet, and, like, yeah, Earth is big. Earth is, like, a planet that a lot of people live on, but also it's one planet, and there are lots of Rangers, and you just send everyone to this one planet because putties are all over it. But if they were all over some other place,
would we do this
no
for
one would
Aquitar?
care,
Would
like-
we do this for...
right.
That's a really good point. While I'm there, I'm really glad that Aquitar was referenced.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been nice to see Sestro or somebody, but I do appreciate that Billy's ties to that planet are recognized.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, a decent sense of continuity even when there's stuff that's not making any sense.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid Lawrence, let's go ahead and get to his super chats real quick, and then I want to go all the way back to the beginning and talk about just the setup, because it's weird.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid Lawrence, 49 super chat. Really appreciate your support tonight, man. Thoughts on the archive voices for Amy and JDF, but not Austin St. John? Took me out of it slightly. Jason's voice is too iconic, and I'm not sure why they couldn't have used archive stuff for his voice if they didn't. I gotta be honest with you, I did not notice in a Jason voice that didn't sound like him. If that's true, I did not notice it.
They used the, I know what they did. They used the voices from Battle of the Grid.
Well, that's what I kept thinking, is that they probably pulled dialogue from that.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't voice him in that, does he?
And, yeah, Austin St. John is not in that. He has a person who sounds like it. Which, I mean, he does sound pretty good.
But it's clear enough that it's not him?
Yeah. At least in the game it is.
Okay.
But in the special, I couldn't tell.
Well, I couldn't tell with Kimberly either. Like, I thought they were using... So I had the same thought with Battle for the Grid, particularly in a couple of places in that fight at the beginning with Tommy.
Yeah, when Tommy's talking, it's just his lines from Battle.
I thought it was just his lines for... Or maybe actually the second battle, like a year later.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. We get both of those characters... We get actually all three of those characters in costume that we don't see in a fight where Trini dies and then a year later.
It is... I think it's fine that they had the archive voices and stuff, like...
It's better than recasting the
Yeah.
the voiceovers if they didn't actually do that with Jason.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the best way to handle it if you had to do that at all. Honestly, that whole thing didn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to, because I was a little bit down on this walking into it, because nothing about the premise sounded appealing to me. I was like, okay, so we're gonna do that thing again where you've got some people taking their helmets off and some people not, because we couldn't get those actors. And that at the beginning is weird, where like you have the two big actors that we got for this, they're going to be our main characters here, with Billy and Zach taking off their helmets. Oh God, Trini. And then the other three Rangers just stand around with their helmets on. Like, that's kind of odd, right?
Yeah.
And we'd already seen footage of that with the promos, and I was like, oh no, this is weird. I appreciate, at the very least, that when we go to the year later thing, they've stayed a team.
Yeah.
And that the plot is, even though we don't get to see their faces, our other three Rangers get kidnapped, and we have to rescue them instead of find some easy way to write them off somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, at least we didn't send them to a youth conference, or like a middle-aged or elderly person conference.
I don't understand.
We didn't do that.
I don't understand.
And it felt very Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It's weird that I'm praising it for this, but the way that they're there but they're not there is so Season 2 Mighty Morphin. It kind of I was kind of okay with it, weirdly.
Yeah, and I just don't understand how they're even still a team or anything.
That's the big thing I wanted to talk to you about.
I don't understand any of that because, and they talk about like the extra coins and stuff, but they only talk about it for the 2 Rangers, and like they don't use them for the other ones. Like I don't know.
Well, so what's said is that it's supposed to be really dangerous to duplicate active powers. Whatever
They're not
that means.
active though, so yeah.
Well, no, they are. So the idea is, in order to bring back, because we got to put somebody in the pink suit and somebody in the red suit, instead of just calling a couple of other Rangers from other teams when you've got all these teams you're calling, like you could have done that. Yeah. But no, let's do this very dangerous thing just so that we can bring in like old veteran Mighty Morphin Rangers just for this special.
Do the Once a Ranger thing that they did in Operation Overdrive.
What was that?
Where they make a team from 5 different teams, like
exactly.
That.
Sorry, I knew that was an episode title, which is why this had to be called That But Not That, Once and Always, which is, by the way, a really literal title, now that we're in what we're talking about here, Jason, because it's Once and Always. It's not just once a Ranger, always a Ranger, in that if we need you, you can come back and be a Power Ranger even if you're in your, like, 70s or 80s, but also... but also, like, what made you a Ranger in the first place is always in you, right? Like, that's supposed to be the idea. But in this, it's just, nope, we got a team of, like, Power Rangers in their 50s that are actively still being Power Rangers. I couldn't believe that. Because I thought the idea was going to be Robo Rita shows up for whatever reason, somehow.
And they don't tell Rita you why.
Well, they kind of do, and it's very weird.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the Z wave, or with the Zordon wave. The idea is that her evil also got spread out along with Zordon's good, which is nonsense, by the way.
But why her? Was what I was thinking.
Why not everybody else? Why not Zed? Why not Divatox?
Why not anyone else?
Rito,
on the freaking
everybody.
Planet?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't understand.
But the idea was supposed to be it's Billy's fault that something about him trying to bring back Zordon actually brought her back.
Yeah.
That was the idea. So there is at least an impetus for that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be Robo
Rita
shows up and Billy's got to get the band, or whoever has to get the band back together.
Yeah.
And especially with that title, you'd think, because usually with the Once a Ranger idea, it's always been, you haven't been a Ranger in 20 years, but we need you again. Right. Here it's just, nope, they were just Rangers already. He had a command center built for them. He'd been working on Zords and stuff. Like, so it's weird, we have an occasion for story, but not for why they're Rangers already.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I also always thought that Once a Ranger, always a Ranger just kind of felt like they're like 3 Musketeers or something. Like
it has that vibe a little bit though, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the same sort of teamwork thing, and we're all a team, we're all a family.
Yeah.
It's corny in the right way.
Yeah. I was gonna yell about something. Well, not yell, but like I don't really understand how.
Get angry. Everybody wants to see you get angry about a Power Rangers special.
You had
with 50-year-old Power Rangers.
This isn't even about the special. You had the Z Wave, and there's still just and this goes like all across the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have like 20 more seasons after.
I know.
A bunch of bad guys.
It's never made sense.
I never thought of that before.
Oh,
but you have so many bad guys that are still, and
at first
they weren't just born.
So I think the idea is we kind of ignore it because the seasons after that are sort of in canon and sort of not. Like Lost Galaxy has to be because it's got characters from space, but then after that you've got seasons that were pretty squarely not at all in regular Power Rangers continuity, and then Dino Thunder comes in and says retroactively all of it counts, and you have villains that have been evil for centuries and millennia, and you just have to go with it. Like somehow something there was still evil that I guess the Zordon wave didn't hit. I don't know. Like it never made any sense.
Yeah.
It's Power Rangers, guys. Like there's no consistency to this stuff, but it's fun to complain about. So with the coin thing you're talking about, I think so. The whole issue isn't because I thought that was a clip they released, by the way, the whole active power thing. And when I saw that, because I watched that before the special, I thought that was part of an explanation that Alpha was going to give us for why these old Rangers were able to use their powers again.
Yeah, me too.
And there's no explanation for it whatsoever. And the only thing I can figure is Billy is a genius, and he tapped back into the grid, and he is, like, obsessively, hopelessly, like, nostalgic for the old days. Like, Billy is the stand-in for the 40-year-olds in the audience that miss old Power Rangers. And he is excessively missing the past and trying to recreate it. And so he can't just make his own Power Rangers team like Tommy did in Dino Thunder. He has to bring back... He has to recreate the Mighty Morphin powers. And he has to make the Dino Megazord
was trying to do.
That's true.
So that makes it really funny.
It's really funny because his whole character arc is about basically, and I was surprised by this, and I wish it was a little bit more in the... I wish his moral ambiguity was more in the fore.
Yeah.
Because when Min complains that Billy is responsible for her mother's death, she's somewhat right about it, and he's been feeling guilty about it himself.
Right.
And by the end, I guess I'm not 100% sure where the show falls down on it. Like, I guess he's not still actively trying to bring Zordon back, but he says, like, well, maybe someday, maybe Zordon's still out there. Someday he'll reconstitute himself. But I needed him to go just a little farther and be like, but I'm not going to do it because I learned my lesson. You know what I mean? Because they're supposed to have this kind of paralleling character arc where being a Power Ranger is about being selfless. Being a hero in general is about being selfless. And for her, she's not selfless because she wants revenge.
Yeah.
And Billy is not selfless because he wants his mentor back. And it's not about saving the world, because when he's trying to bring Zordon back, he's not trying to fix anything. There's not some piece of knowledge Zordon has that he's got to get, or or people are going to die, or anything like that. It's just, oh, I think I figured out how to bring Zordon back.
Yeah.
I better do that. So, like, that is a real, much more of an, like, ends justifies the means kind of thing, and it kind of goes against Zordon's philosophy, does it not?
Yeah.
Where he's kind of playing God, and then you've got that...
well, it's his last character that he needs.
Right.
In his new fan fiction.
Because he's trying to bring Power Rangers back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's just
By
playing
the
with
way,
action figures.
I thought it was really funny, where she kept trying to morph Min.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she kept trying to morph and it wasn't working. I thought that was just funny, especially the first time.
Just as a running gag?
Yeah.
Were we intentionally cribbing from 2017 a little bit with that? Because it's funny, I saw fans before this came out say, "I wonder what they'll bring in for the 2017 movie," and I'm like, "Well, they don't have the rights to anything from that, and why would they do that? It wasn't really successful."
Right.
But the idea that your heart has to be in the right place to morph, and the idea of having a new Ranger that has to find her selflessness and find some wisdom before the grid will let her morph is right out of that movie.
Yeah.
And it was the one idea I loved from that movie.
Yeah.
And oddly, it was handled better here. I have to say. Like, I'm not saying that these characters had more dimension than the ones there, but it was nice to watch one character that couldn't morph. Well, you still got to see, Ranger fights and potties and monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, real quick, let me finish my pretentious analysis about this character arc. So you've got that line from Zach where he says, sometimes it's actually a good thing to give up your ambition.
Yeah.
And he's referring to the fact that he decided to stop being, I don't think he had to do this, but to stop being a congressman so that he can look after Trini's daughter. And, but it's also, but the subtext is maybe supposed to be also, maybe Billy should have done that. and Billy was too ambitious for the wrong reasons, and maybe, kind of a road to hell is paved with good intentions thing. Like, in a way, his heart was in the right place in that, well, he just cares about his mentor, he cares about Zordon.
Yeah.
And would have liked to have brought him back. But Zordon, and I like this about it, I don't know that the special is even doing this on purpose, but Zordon gave his life to eradicate evil in the galaxy. Didn't work out, it turns out, because we wanted to make more Power Ranger shows. But he eradicates evil in the galaxy. He sets the right example. And then Billy is not following that example when he tries to bring that very person back to life. And the consequence is Trini dies.
Yeah.
I really like that. I don't think it sticks the landing with that whole arc, with that whole idea by the end. But it's kind of nice that the special is a little bit about something.
Yeah.
Min is really whiny.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places where I was, like, acting. I think she's really good at the beginning, and then once she's got a chip on her shoulder and she just wants to be a Power Ranger,
then she's the character from the next Karate Kid.
Who, sort of like the girl from Next Karate Kid, as soon as she becomes reasonable, the acting gets better.
Yeah. Because the girl from Next Karate Kid is a good actor.
She's horrible until she's great.
Yeah, she's
I've never
great
seen anything like that. But
at
this
the end.
girl is a little bit like that.
Yeah.
She's not as good as that, but she's a little bit like that.
Yeah. I have a theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
Probably... I probably don't have enough proof for this, but you know how Zordon sent out his Z-Wave and killed all the evil people?
Yeah. We're still on about this, are we?
Yeah, well, what if they kill the mentor from Turbo?
Okay.
And then
Demetria?
Yeah, and you do the D-Wave. And that's how they end Power Rangers.
Oh.
If they ever need to end Power Rangers, they just send out the D-Wave, and it kills all the other evil people.
So then, like all these evil people across. I was trying to think of villains like Evox. But I think a lot of the villains in the other shows actually are gone by the end of their shows, are they not? But the D-Wave goes out, and you see all these villains from shows that disintegrate, and just before they disintegrate, you hear Demetria just asking various random questions.
Yeah. No, it would be really funny.
Billy the Kid Lawrence 49 Super Chat. It's interesting that thanks again. It's interesting that before it ends, they still tease Zordon's return. So my big prediction coming into this was Zordon will come back at the end.
Yeah.
And we got 5 minutes in, and I looked at Jayson and I said, "Called it." Because the whole plot is centered around trying to bring Zordon back. And then it still doesn't happen. If this is successful, he says, could we get more in the form of a series or specials? Prior to watching it, I would have said no. But it seems like a lot of people are watching it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd watch that show. If they do any more of it, I would love to see it as a miniseries. I think it's possible that if he's still interested, even after JDF's passing, David Yost still wants to make his show or something akin to. He'd probably have to tweak it now.
Yeah. But
something akin to it, I think Netflix would be amenable in a way that they weren't before.
Yeah.
But I think they'd have to move the production away from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have those gorgeous landscapes that you had at the beginning. How cool was that fight, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really I just love that landscape.
It does look really good, yeah.
It felt like we were in Virtua Fighter.
Did
you not have that?
I know, and it felt like that, just a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like that a lot with Min, because I'm a big Lion fan, but...
Oh, yeah, with her
praying mantis.
Praying mantis, yeah. Let's talk about that for a
mantis.
second. I loved that she had that particular style, and yes, it's the same as Trini's, but we're actually coming out and talking about the different variations of martial arts, the different principles that they're using.
Yeah.
And disciplines, I guess, is the word I was looking for, and that's cool. But I also liked that one of the things that made it feel more like Mighty Morphin than the Neo Saban stuff is there's a lot more out of costume fighting.
Yeah.
And a lot of it looked good.
Yeah.
it was really nice to see that.
Yeah.
And did you have any place where you were like, okay, it's too absurd because these are middle-aged Power Rangers now? Like the out of costume fighting, like Zach doing his hip hop keto and all of that. It didn't bother me. It was just it was all part of the charm of it to me.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't work. I mean, if you said like, let's say when we got to like the 10th anniversary of Power Rangers, where or like 10 or 15, where we had Tommy like in his late 30s, early 40s morphing, and you said, you know, a long time from now we're gonna do a special where they're gonna be in their mid 50s and they're still gonna morph. I would have been like, oh no, like just let things die.
Yeah.
And very often that is my attitude these days. I don't mean to be cynical, but we keep bringing back stuff badly.
Yeah.
I don't know that this works as well if we hadn't had Power Rangers still on the air all this time.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like, it kind of works to me.
And I have been saying this for years, and I think I said it in like a Captain Logan show or two.
Yeah.
But I really wanted a Power Rangers special, and it would I feel like it would make more sense because they're not as old. I wanted a Power Rangers special where they brought back the kids as adults, and they're the Power Rangers now.
That would be great. I don't think I can get my mind around that, though. How would that even work? Like, the kids, being adults, wouldn't look like themselves.
Right.
Like, they would grow up and look like the actors that played them as teenagers, right?
Yeah. And then you have Justin, too.
That whole thing breaks my brain. It would have been crazy to see Justin come back from this, though. Or come back for this. It's like, oh look, it's Justin. It's Turbo Blue. He's an MMA fighter now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the actor is, but it would have been great if in Power Rangers we just said he was an MMA fighter. Billy the Kid put in another $10 super chat. Thanks again, man, a ton. It was weird that the Rad Bug was back and shown to fly already, but when we treat it with Min like it's a reveal later in the special. I agree with Jason, writing wasn't too on point. Yeah, that's true, where she's like, oh, it flies? Like, well, yeah, we already knew that it did.
Yeah,
it looks awesome,
we just established that like 10 minutes ago. Like,
when we saw publicity photos for that, I honestly, Zeltrax was supposed to be Billy gone bad, and now we've got this somewhat... And I don't think they throw him under the bus too much, especially given his characterization in some of the comics where he gets a little too utilitarian, and there are points where he will consider compromising his values too much and working with bad guys for what he perceives as the greater good. Yeah. We've got that Billy here, and that is cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's an argument for his side to be made sometimes, and it's really cool in the comics when he and Zordon will kind of argue.
Yeah.
And you've got that version of it here, which is cool, and it feels informed by that a little bit. But that seems like the guy that could turn into Zeltrax.
Yeah.
But we already had Zeltrax, and it wasn't Billy, so that kind of makes me sad.
I always like when you say Billy Gone Bad, because that's the name of an episode, but...
That's true.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid Lawrence.
I wanted to talk about this.
Again, Hip Hop Keto was fine, but Zach didn't need to openly exclaim that it was time for Hip Hop Keto.
This is the reason I said my worst thing was writing.
Hip Hop Keto. Yeah, there are places, but I thought it was going to be a lot worse than this, so, like, maybe my standards are too low, but, like, I thought it was going to be every other line where somebody's got to get real in your face with a very forced reference that doesn't even follow the previous line, and to make people that haven't watched Power Rangers in 25 years go like, oh, I understood that reference. That was one of those. Too much pink energy was another one.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have any problem with finding a way to get a reference to that in there, but it doesn't follow it all. Because Alpha goes, Zach, again, says, duplicating active powers is very dangerous. And by the way, it apparently isn't, because they just do it and it's fine.
Yeah.
Duplicating active powers is very dangerous. And the very next line is Kat saying, I don't care how... I don't care if too much... I don't care how dangerous too much pink energy is. Just
Yeah.
because it's a reference to a meme. Now, I hate it. I think the biggest issue is when we work memes into this stuff. And
Yeah.
it being Power Rangers, I'm more okay with it when there's some other things, but that was obnoxious.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he didn't say anything about pink energy. Why'd you say pink energy? Why would you say that?
Yeah. And I completely forgot about that line, and I didn't even realize that was like a big meme.
Yeah. Yeah, too much pink energy is dangerous.
Oh.
It's become very popular.
That's in season 3, right?
I don't know where that is.
I don't know where
remember.
it is.
No, I think it's earlier than that. Billy the Kid Lawrence again, 49 Super Chat. Cat says the civilians are safe, and they just leave the civilians with the two monsters and go fight more putties. The putty thing, there's a little bit about this that wasn't as novel for me because I've seen some of the recent nostalgia bait stuff they've done.
Yeah.
Or like I don't even know if I should say nostalgia bait, but just going back and bringing in old Mighty Morphin stuff. We've had putties recently, and we've had Zed recently, and if we hadn't done Zed in Dino Fury, I bet this would have been Zed instead of Rita. Well, maybe not though, given that Axelrod is no longer with us.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this. Barbara, I can't, is it
Goodman?
Thank you. She's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And she sounds just like she always did.
Yeah.
And she's really funny, and she's got all kinds of just absurd lines.
Yeah.
And I
My
love...
face.
My face! And I love just how much dialogue she got.
Yeah.
That was great. Did you like the putties exploding?
Yeah.
I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
But I think maybe they've been doing that lately in Dino Fury, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I thought that was fun.
She was great.
Well, I was
And one of the MVPs here is Alpha, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
He gives it a lot of credibility, I think, and gets a surprising amount of dialogue. Mm-hmm. And Alpha's voice, I don't know her name either, but...
I actually do not know her name.
But Alpha's voice does sound quite a bit older, and after about a line or two, I didn't care, because I was really glad to have that voice back.
Yeah.
And now it's Alpha 9. It's really funny, we ran through 2 Alphas in this special.
Yeah.
Cracks me up. Goodson, not Goodman. Thank you, Daniverse. That is true.
I was gonna say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I cannot remember what I was gonna say. Oh, no.
Well, you think about it, and I'm going to run up and read a few of these comments, because we're getting quite a few things coming in, and I want to make sure that we interact with the audience a little bit. Senior Sticks, who maintained the old Zords? Again, my theory is it's all just Billy recreating everything. I just think it's never said. I just think that's the only possible explanation. How on earth do you bring back the green coin? Forget anything else. I don't see how you have Green Ranger or Dragon. Maybe they don't even have Dragon Zord. Maybe he hasn't built it yet. That's never talked about.
Yeah.
But how do you even have that?
Right.
Like, you couldn't... Well, we know why it's there. It's there because old fans, old school fans expect to see Green Ranger.
Yeah.
But I love... I don't know, like, I don't always do the headcanon thing, but I really like the idea that Billy is just really longing for the past.
Yeah.
And misses the 90s, like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And he's accidentally brought back Rita and ruined everything because of his nostalgia.
Yeah.
Although, when I said they don't throw him under the bus, maybe in killing Trini a little bit.
Yeah.
At least if I'm right. Yeah. Like, if he's trying to bring back Zordon just because he needs to recreate his... Let me ask you real quick, is there anything that you find distasteful or mean-spirited about killing off Trini in that way now? Because I know some people are really unhappy with that choice just in general. Twee Trang dies in the, early 2000s?
Yeah, 2001.
And because... And to it's a little bit, I mean, like, you know, almost like 20 years later, it's a little bit of like a Black Panther sort of thing where it's like we can't bring back the actress that played this role, so we have to make part of it a tribute to her.
I'm so glad it wasn't as bad as Black Panther, though, because, like, yeah, I do like them doing some sort of a tribute.
I didn't find it horribly distasteful, by the way.
I didn't.
But I'm just wondering what you thought of it.
With Black Panther, it was just all over the whole movie. But with this, I thought it was.
No, it's not like the whole thing feels like a funeral.
Yeah.
But I guess what does feel a little bit strange about it is and that's probably a choice they made before they knew what actors they could get back.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but what feels weird about it is you have several actors that you would love to be in the show that you're pretending are there.
Yeah.
But you feel like you have to kill off one of them because the actress unfortunately passed away.
Yeah.
That part of it is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
To me. And obviously retroactive, it's even stranger because Jason David Frank passed away, but that was after they shot this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get why that's weird to people. I don't think it's wrong or anything.
Yeah. I remembered what I was gonna say. I'm so glad, and maybe I'm like not. Maybe I missed something. But when I don't know if you noticed this in.
Secret Sticks claims that Tommy had the Master Morpher, but I don't know if that's what he's using.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Because, like, they're all morphing their old morphs. And also, sorry, real quick, I don't know why the original 5 Rangers are even all coming back together.
Yeah.
Because, again, there's other active Rangers that you could get, but also, like, do they all live in Angel Grove? Are they coming in from other places in the world?
Yeah.
Like, you did have a little bit more of that global sense where you could be a Power Ranger from anywhere, and that's what I always wanted it to be, so I appreciate that. But it is strange that everybody just seems to be coalescing to Billy's obsession with wanting to go back to 1993.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
I don't know if you noticed this, but with Neo Saban and Hasbro, they will not stop whenever whenever a Ranger hits someone with like a weapon, or sometimes it's just even their fist, like terrible looking sparks always fly out, and I don't like it. I don't know. I don't like what it looks like.
Oh.
I don't know why they do it. There's always sparks flying out whenever they hit people.
That's just Power Rangers, though.
With weapons.
Isn't it?
No, it wasn't there all the time.
No, we did that a lot in Mighty Morphin.
I don't know.
You know what's hilarious?
Yeah.
It's Morphin time. There's a big explosion behind all of us.
Yeah.
At the beginning?
Yeah. And they didn't do that in as much in this, so I'm glad that. Oh,
I'm sorry. I thought you were complaining
so
there was too much of that in this.
No.
Okay.
No, but
another $10 super chat. I loved Billy in this, but I did think Yost needed more energy when he says Triceratops. Or was it Rocky that did that with the sword? I can't remember.
I thought Billy stabbed her.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And then Kat says, I can be honest, that was pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
That was a great line.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like he did need a little more energy when he said Triceratops.
Joey Lane says the original power coins weren't completely destroyed like the ninja coins, so they could always have been repaired, and Billy, being a genius, could have repaired them. That's possibly true. It would have been nice to have a line about what exactly they were using. Like, what was the power source?
Yeah.
Did they just have the coins lying around? Are they the original morphers, or did they have new ones? I mean, Keep in mind, like, back in space, Adam had his dysfunctional morpher, his busted one, that he wasn't supposed to morph with, and it was dangerous, and they actually played it like it was kind of dangerous. And unlike this, where it's like, oh, it's very dangerous to duplicate, and no problem, just do it anyway.
Who cares?
You'll be fine. But that would have been the same morpher Zach had, so what's this morpher?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. Also, I'm very perplexed by Aisha.
I was gonna bring that up. I don't understand that at all. She lives like 100 years ago, and also the plot of this special is time travel.
That's a good point.
If it takes that
or
many
at least
ranger
that's what Rita's
powers,
trying to do.
If it takes that many legendary figures to time travel, there's no way they got Aisha back.
No, they're recent. They're lightning figures.
Or not legendary. Lightning. It's not 2015.
That's really funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it takes that many rangers to go to Rita, like,
I don't understand why it's not Tanya.
Yeah.
And the Kat and Tanya actresses are best friends and have a Power Ranger YouTube channel together, and it's very strange that one is here and the other isn't. They're actually broadcasting tonight. They might be still on right now. I'm not sure. And I'm going to go back and listen to their live show later because I'm wondering if they discuss why what's her face isn't there, Tanya?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't think of her name right now. But
and they're subscribed to you, which is cool.
Isn't that crazy? I thought about asking them to come on.
Yeah.
See if I can get them for a Captain Logan show. I could ask them there if I can get one or both of them to come on.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm perplexed by is if you look at the cast. I didn't expect to talk about this long, by the way. Are you still good for a little bit? Because I've got some notes I want to run down, and there's still some people asking things. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll go maybe 15, 20 more minutes if you don't mind.
Cool. I don't care.
It's it's just a little Power Ranger special, but there's kind of a lot to talk about.
Yeah. There's not as much as the Mario movie where we still had things to talk about, but we were talking for almost 3 hours.
We just had to finish.
We had to finish.
Okay, so look, it's a podcast, folks. It's fine. Oh, buy Senior Sticks. I was going to read some of your comments. Apologies. Senior Sticks, he probably used the Zeo Crystal. Do they still have it? Well, I guess so, because when they go to Turbo, there's no reason they even needed to have new powers. They probably still were using the Zeo Crystal at that point. It seems like Zordon just is really into cars right then.
Right.
He's watching NASCAR on the weekends, and he goes, you know what, car theme. While you're on a pirate ship, I'm going to go to cars.
But what's really funny is he's only there for, 10 episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
And, okay, so maybe he just left because he wasn't a car fan anymore.
So when you go to Ranger Wiki, and you look at the cast list, Ming Quan is played by Charlie Kirsch, and she's credited as Ming Quan, Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger 3.
Mm-hmm.
But she should be Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger 4. Yes?
No.
She would be the 4th one.
No.
There have been 3 before her. Nope. There was Trini.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Aisha.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Tanya. No, Tanya was Zeo.
Tanya was Zeo.
I'm an idiot.
Yes.
I always do that. I always think that Tanya was a Mighty Morphin. That's because she's introduced in Alien Rangers.
Right.
And
she's there in Mighty Morphin.
It's so weird. Can you imagine being in the Power Rangers universe and coming in and having to be have all that explained to you when you're from 100 years in the past?
Yeah.
However long ago that was, and oh, by the way, we our command center blew up, and we've got to get these. We've got to get these new powers, and yeah. No apologies. You're right. That was blowing my brain. I was like, wait a minute. Wouldn't she be 4? No, I always forget that she was Zeo. Yeah, so she was only Zeo in Turbo.
Yes.
And only half a Turbo.
Yeah.
Because they got written out halfway through.
So, okay. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but who's Alpha 7?
I don't know. Maybe they just went, well, there probably was one in there somewhere.
Yeah,
No, there is an Alpha 7, is there not?
I feel like...
No, I think there's one. Is it in Lost Galaxy?
It's either Forever Red or Once a Ranger.
No, you're right. It's one of those later reunion episodes.
Yeah, I think it's Forever Red. I think Alpha 7 shows up in Forever Red.
You know what we should do at some point?
Yes.
We should do a mini marathon on a Friday night of the reunion specials.
I've been wanting you to do that.
And do this.
Yeah.
Although that would probably take too long.
Just so
maybe do 2 sets of them. I don't
the
know.
reunion there are a lot.
There's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them.
And some of them suck.
The crossover episodes.
Joey Elaine says no. Forever Red was still Alpha 6. I thought there was a 7 somewhere.
I'll look it up at some point.
He says maybe in Once a Ranger, but not Forever Red. And I think that's right. That it's not Forever Red.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, I have a few more notes I want to run down, and I can't believe I haven't brought this up yet. But one of the things
I want to talk about the first thing that we see in the special, 'cause it's the funniest thing ever.
Okay, go ahead.
'Cause there are like words on the screen.
Did that not feel like a callback to the '95 movie?
Yeah, it did. It's really funny. I can't remember what it says, but like it's like these were,
There were 5 teenagers with attitude.
Yeah, and then it's just the '95 movie, and then
kind of. Except that's
these
weird
were
because
known as
you immediately know that that it's not canonical because they go, there were 6 power coins.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
Yeah. But yeah, notes.
Okay. I'm surprised that I didn't bring this up earlier, because we love this guy on this channel and we talk about it all the time. But one of the things that made this more authentic is the whole score is Wasserman.
Yeah.
And I was very excited to see his name. I wish, of course, that some of his iconic themes were here. And I don't think besides the Mighty Morphin theme, I don't think we really got anything. But it did sound more like Mighty Morphin because Wasserman was doing it.
Yeah, I really liked that.
It's a little updated, but it sounded good.
Yeah,
and I was very glad that he was there for them.
Yes.
Other things that I wanted to mention, Harvey Garvey.
Harvey Garvey.
So, in case you're not familiar, because I had to look this up, I recognized that name and I went, what is that? And I had to go look it up.
He's dead last year, apparently.
Is that right?
In the special.
No, I know. I couldn't remember what the date was. Was it 22?
Yeah, it was 22.
So they're fighting in the cemetery, and which is not a usual place to see people fighting in Power Rangers. And we get a tombstone that says Harvey Garvey, and it's whatever year he was born to last year, and that is a tribute to a lot of tributes in this. To a voice actor in Mighty Morphin who was Ninjor, among several other things. And he appeared on screen as himself, or not as himself, but as a human being that looked like him one time. And that was in, I want to say maybe it was the 100th episode of the show. But it was Lights, Camera, Action.
Yes.
And it's the episode where the Power Rangers are so Tommy's White Ranger by now.
Yeah.
And they're in costume and they're on a talk show. And Harvey Garvey is the talk show host. And neat, deep pull. And I really appreciate stuff like that for a thing like this. Like, these guys like old school Power Rangers. They know what they're doing.
And Rocky and Aisha and Adam were there by then, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember that's one of Rocky's best episodes. Because Rocky's just really funny in that scene.
Well, and let's talk about this for a second, too, because people that are sad and miffed that the original 5 team couldn't all come together for this, I understand that, but the team that was there when I first started watching was, and I mean, we have Zach here, but it was the season 2 team, the mid-season 2 team, and I got into Power Rangers just before the movie came out.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't see Jayson on the big screen. I saw Rocky on the big screen. And Jayson was still kind of always my favorite, especially by Gold Ranger. But still, those guys are important to me and kind of iconic also. And I know I said this earlier, but I still think it's a lot of fun that if we had to write them out of this, they're replaced by the same people that replaced them last time. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of them would be here in any capacity or for very long if that hadn't happened. So I was really glad that, especially for Catherine Sutherland.
Yeah.
Because I've heard her go on record on her channel and she's totally warranted in this, to complain that when she came back for, was it Ninja Steel?
Yeah.
she didn't get anything to do.
Yeah.
She's like, it was really cool getting to just be there and on set, but like they gave me almost no lines and I didn't get to do anything. And she actually gets a little bit to do in this.
Yeah, she gets stuff to do.
She gets one or two of the best lines. And we did shaft Johnny Ong Bosch, which is not fair.
Yeah. And this is his, like, what, 5th appearance?
Yeah, he showed up a lot. But at least he's had good stuff before.
Yeah.
Because one of the best return episodes is his in space. He's phenomenal in that.
Yeah, he's great in that.
But, like, I don't know, Kat never got to do that. Right. But I think I'm right because since Zach is there, Adam doesn't get any screen time.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if Kimberly was there, Kat would get no screen time.
Right.
It only follows. It only stands to reason. You'd probably have all those guys standing in a room wearing SPA suits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Other things I want to bring up real quick. Oh, so what did you think of the monster choices?
They're fine.
It's weird that that's what Rita decided to go with.
Yeah. Minotaur was. I was really glad they got Minotaur, but Snizzard, like, who cares? I don't like that episode that he's in.
Do you think they did it because I think this is true? I think they did it because Snizzard has a Lightning Collection figure right now. That's why they did it. Power Rangers is, after all, a toy commercial.
Or maybe they did it because...
Oh, Billy the Kid Lawrence says Alpha 7 is forever red. And Joey Elaine says, I can admit it when I was confused. Billy the Kid, Zach and Adam teaming up would have been so cool. Shame. Yeah. One of the things I bet... I'm sorry, I talked over you.
Yeah,
you were trying to talk about the monsters. Go ahead.
Do you think they added Snizzard because Hart isn't there, or whatever?
Oh, maybe
because Kimberly's actor isn't there. I can't remember her name.
Amy Jo Johnson.
Because Snizzard's episode is a Kimberly episode, because that's the airplane episode.
Well, are you suggesting that maybe Snizzard is here because she was supposed to be, and then when they wrote her out, they just left him there?
Or because she wasn't there, so they wanted to do something. Well, I don't know.
I doubt it. I don't know that people are going, well, we didn't get Kimberly, but at least we got a monster that was in an episode that she was featured in.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
I don't.
I doubt that very seriously.
I don't very not serious. Whatever.
Billy the Kid, Cap, Jayson, was the invisibility gimmick needed? Was it a reference of any kind outside of Tommy and Dino Thunder? Yeah, that was silly. It seemed like just an excuse to have a bumbling scene without anybody having to fall into cake.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, ow, get off my foot. You know, you gotta have that scene.
Yeah.
That was one of the more, and yeah, I don't think it was an intentional reference to Dino Thunder, but for people that don't know, Tommy went invisible in Dino Thunder because Jason David Frank couldn't be there for a lot of the latter half of that show. And I'm telling you, New Zealand, man. I don't think they were in New Zealand yet, were they? No,
yeah.
they must have been.
Yeah, they were.
Because Connor's a New Zealand actor.
Yep. They were.
See, New Zealand ruins everything.
I know. Just shoot everything in Georgia. I don't know.
but I was going to say, and then DJ could be in Power Rangers, but I was going to say, isn't that... I lost my train of thought. Oh, isn't that one of the more Neil Saban things, though? That feels like a Neil Saban gag.
Yeah, it also does feel like a Mighty Morphin gag, but, like, yeah. It does feel very, like, Beast Morphers. Oh, they've got these things that do things, and they're gonna use them, and they're gonna be funny.
Goofster says they go there... They go to New Zealand first Ninja Storm. Yeah, it's the Disney seasons, and then they keep it there even when Saban buys it back.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, let me see if there's anything else here I wanted to bring up. I wrote New Zealand. It was funny. It was funny to me just because of what you and I are into. How bits of this, especially toward the beginning, kind of felt like we were watching somebody play a game of Heroes of the Grid, of the board game, where it was like, oh, there's a bunch of putties in the juice bar.
Yeah.
Let's put all our putties in the juice bar, and then bring our Rangers there, and then we'll fight them all, and then we'll clear that out. And then now where do we have to go?
Yeah.
And then they go, and this was wonderful. They fought putties in the juice bar. Oh no, there's some putties at the park! And we gotta go to the park and fight the putt. That's how the board game is!
I've been wanting to.
There's a bunch of locations you can use, but those are 2 locations in the game.
If we had enough of a budget, I have been saying this for a little bit now. I've been wanting us to make like a skit where we do if Power Rangers was like the board game.
Oh my god!
And like
they just
Zordon
made it, though.
is a big dice tower, and like
I see what you're saying. That's hilarious.
And like yeah,
and somebody's got
just like
somebody has to paint all the Rangers.
Yeah.
You're like, it's morphin' time. We gotta paint them.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
And they're like
it's
stay morphed like the entire episode.
Yes.
And they're just at the juice bar, just like, and they're at like the high school, just like morphed. That's really funny.
And we keep talking about the Megazord, but we rarely get to it.
Right. Yeah.
So we keep using individual Zords, but like just stomping on monsters from above because they never grow.
And also, if they use a Zord, they use it for 5 seconds, and then he just runs back away.
Oh, this is great. This is a really good idea. And all the locations are in like a 4-block radius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another cat line. Tommy, look at you.
Somebody was talking about that earlier. That was really what she's talking about, action figures.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, Tommy, look at you.
and then Billy's like, what are you doing?
Let me scroll up real quick and make sure there's no other great ideas great comments that I haven't talked about. Joey Elaine, Billy just misses Zordon. Yeah, he does. He really does. That's his whole motivation. Don't you think if there was something, I was gonna say he would be more sympathetic, I guess, if there was some really pressing reason to bring Zordon back. Mm-hmm. But I sort of like that he's morally ambiguous. Like I said, I just wish the show dealt with that more. Yeah. I wish there was like some friction between him and Zach about it.
Yeah.
If we did get a sequel to this of any kind, and I actually think that's possible.
I want one for Zeo. I just want them to keep doing it.
Keep coming up with like weird contrivances to bring powers back.
Yeah.
I don't want Zeo until Austin St. John can leave the country again.
Right. No, yeah.
Because if you do Zeo without Gold Ranger, I'm gonna cry. Like, I get that sucks for people, and I like Green Ranger and White Ranger too, don't get me wrong. White Ranger was my favorite costume growing up, but before we got to Gold. But don't you think, I mean, like so people were, really sad that all they got was a flash of Green Ranger, I'm sure, and then it's not Tommy, but like, yeah. You can't do Zeo without Gold. It would be really sad to me. Well,
what if they brought back
the triplets?
Trey, yeah.
If they brought back the triplets, I'd be all over it. That would be wonderful.
The Verzi triplet. No,
I don't remember what their names are, but they are. They're still around, and they've aged super well, and they could totally come back for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And they have been reviewed on Power Rangers Playback.
Oh, really?
With Catherine and Nakia. Oh, her name just came to me. Look at that. Billy the Kid Lawrence. It was Jason's Kiaz that tipped me off. It wasn't Austin St. John. I guess I just didn't hear him say. I heard Tommy is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to. Yeah, real quick. Is Tommy still, like, teaching science? Or is he still being a scientist? Like, I was wondering that back the last time we saw him. Like, what does he do anymore?
Right.
I wonder. Let me say this real quick. If we get another one of these, it'll probably be the same kind of thing with Tommy that we got with Trini. Like, I don't see them coming back and not also killing him off canonically, and then having some mourning in it.
How did they do Zeo without Tommy?
Yeah,
as well.
No, that's rougher.
That is rougher. Yeah.
And it also occurs to me, this is off topic, but there's a lot of stuff that people would have always liked to have seen that I don't know if they'll want as much now if you had to recast. like, live action Draken, I think, is a big thing on people's list. And I'm not against, especially when we're rebooting, of course, recasting Tommy. And maybe they'll recast the whole original cast again.
Yeah.
And we'll get, characters with those names again, and you'll get a new Tommy. And, maybe at some point they'll do that. But if we kept the canon and we weren't, because the rumor right now, the prevailing wisdom is they probably are straight up rebooting. If that didn't happen, you can't really cast Draken.
Mm-hmm.
So you would need a reboot to do that. And also it would be a little bit strange to have something that dark in regular Power Rangers continuity on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think? Billy the Kid Lawrence, Adam and Aisha's lack of explanation for their status quo is what bothered me the most. Yeah, I was bummed by that too. Outside of general exposition being a bit more needed in places, and the Onsen St. John thing. Also, Bulk and Skull. I want to see Skull married to Kimberly. Yeah, I always wanted to see that too. They could have an adult JJ BZO Red says Hollow J Oversoul 21, which is a name I don't recognize, but welcome. I didn't think of that. That's not a bad idea.
Yes.
But I don't know how. But you'd have to shoot even farther into the future because he's not an adult right now.
He's already a ranger too.
Oh wait, is he?
He's an SPD ranger.
In Soul the Dragon?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember what they did with that stuff in the comics anymore.
He's the SPD Dragon Ranger, the Green Ranger. Because they keep like moving forward, and I think that's when Bridge is the Red Ranger and Sky is the whatever, he Sky takes place of Kruger, who is the Blue Ranger in actual SPD.
Okay.
And then JJ is the Green Ranger. And Bridge, who was the Green Ranger, is the Red Ranger.
Okay.
And he's the Red Ranger in live action too. Like he is the Red Ranger in Operation Overdrive.
Oh really?
Yeah, in Once a Ranger, he's the Red Ranger, but he was the Green Ranger. And what's really funny is he does the explaining thing that I just did to you, and everyone's like, "Sorry, what?"
Interesting.
Because he's Bridge and he always over explains things and stuff. It's really funny.
Billy Kid Lawrence, I had heard about this, but I'm glad you mentioned it. JDF wanted to do Draken and do stuff for the fans, but Saban and Hasbro hated Draken and hated JDF trying to change the direction of things. And he quotes the studio, I'm sure this isn't a direct quote or anything, but saying all that matters is the helmet, you can be replaced. That seemed to be their attitude, which sucks because there's a lot Hasbro's done with Power Rangers that I really appreciate. In particular, allowing Renegade to keep the license and keep doing all the bang-up game stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm so into that, and that's a lot of my Power Rangers fandom these days.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Jason, this has been a lot of fun, and I think we should do more Power Rangers content.
Yeah.
Because we had no trouble talking about this for an hour, 40 minutes.
No.
You know a lot about Power Rangers.
I do. I used to know more because I had, a few years ago, I had recently watched all of Power Rangers up through RPM. I don't bother with the Neo Saban stuff. I'll probably watch that at some point, but all of Samurai and I've seen all of Megaforce and I've seen all of Beast Morphers, but I haven't seen all of Dino Charge and Ninja Steel and stuff.
Would you consider reviewing Cosmic Fury with me when that comes out? Because that might be the end of the canon. Mm-hmm. We don't know that for sure, but it's seeming more and more likely that we're finishing Power Rangers with that, and then we're going to get a reboot.
I don't know if you've thought of this.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of excited about Cosmic Fury, because if that is the last season of Power Rangers was going to be in space, which is set in space.
Yeah, and that's
Cosmic
cool.
Fury is set in space. So.
That's a good point. Well, I want to be excited about it. I don't know how much cool old canon stuff they'll bring in, and if they do that, if it'll be as well written as this was.
Right.
Even. But, and I don't know how Zed's going to be handled, because it looks like Zed's going to be the big bad for it, and so I should be, I want to be excited about it.
Yeah.
Even though they've got, crazy, insanely buff, muscular Zed.
It's really funny, but
Yeah. But, like, I'm not in love with that cast. What little I've seen of that show.
I don't like the Red Ranger. But what's good is the Pink Ranger, which I actually she was like the only Ranger that I kind of liked, and she turns out to be an alien. But she is the Red Ranger in Cosmic Fury. So I am kind of glad that they're doing that, because she was like kind of the only good actor. But
I think one of the things that makes this special better for me is that for a while there, and again, now we've got like Putties and Zed and stuff, but for a while there, it looked like the closest we were going to get to, you know what
I know what
say,
you're
right?
going to say. I know what you're going to say, because Beast Morphers, just didn't have any, they just had props.
They didn't
that
bring
was
back
their
actors.
big...
But they did a little bit toward the end.
Yeah.
But because they have spoilers for that, but they have a huge connection to RPM that kind of shocked everybody, that nobody saw coming, and that was a really neat thing to do.
Yeah.
But the closest thing they did with Mighty Morphin is they had actors watching basically episodes on a screen with, for some reason, new bad voices voicing over characters, and then.
No.
Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
And then like having cameos by old props. Where it's like, we don't have Zed, but we've got his staff. And they were trying to bring him back. I was like, oh, they're going to bring back Zed. And then they went, you know what? He's scary. I don't think we can control him, so we're not going to bring back Zed. So they brought back Goldar, but he didn't look or sound anything like Goldar. He was like Goldar Maximus, and it was awful.
Oh, no.
And that was Austin St. John's episode.
Yeah.
And it was fun to see him again. And I liked seeing him interact with, for what brief screen time they got, interact with their Red Ranger.
Yeah.
Because I still stand by. I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name? The Red Ranger in Beast Morphers?
Beast Morphers? I can't remember the actor's name.
With the mayor.
Devin.
With the mayor. Well, I was trying to think of the character name. That's all I care about right now. Okay. But yes, Devin. I just couldn't think of his name. I submit that is the best Red Ranger we've had in like a decade.
Yeah, because...
If not better than that. I really like him a lot.
Because Samurai was mad. Megaforce is awful.
It's awful.
Dino Charge and Ninja Steel, I just don't even care. And then Beast Morphers was great.
But that cast, but particularly Devin, they were to a Disney level.
Good,
like,
yeah.
They were really good.
I like
and it was written
more
like a Disney show until some of that second season. But
and then the cast for Dino Fury was just meh.
Yeah.
At least for me, I thought it was kind of meh.
I don't like what little I've seen of that. But Billy the Kid Lawrence, I hate Zed's new voice. Like Goldar Maximus, it sounds like generic monster voice. It's grown on me slightly, but I'm with you. He says, like, we have the technology to deep fake voices now, just make it sound like the old voice. I mean, I don't mean to be old-fashioned and like, old man, get off my lawn. I still would rather somebody come in and either do a good sound-alike for Axelrod, or go a different way with it. You kind of have a good excuse because it's Zed reborn and he looks a little different. So you could get away with a different voice that's also distinct but just doesn't sound like Axelrod.
Yeah.
Why didn't they bring in the guy that voiced him in Battle for the Grid? He sounds
pretty good.
Completely different, but I like that voice. It's like, doesn't he have kind of like a deep, boomy, like black guy voice? Isn't that their Zed?
Yeah.
But it's a cool voice. Just do that. Just find whoever that guy was and bring him in.
Yeah.
I want to... Deadite John Kelling, hi John, says Jayson almost threw up by talking about Megaforce.
Okay, it's not... Okay, that show is not great. But that...
Let's review Megaforce.
Actor is terrible.
He's not good. I agree.
I don't like him. I mean, you can have your own opinion, but he's the worst.
No offense.
Red Ranger.
John Kelling says New Zed sounds better now than it did initially when they brought it back. I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a little better later, but yeah, I knew John.
And Beast Morphers.
Watched some Power Rangers, but I didn't know he was watching newer stuff. Anyway, I want to thank Billy the Kid Lawrence for all the super chats, and I want to thank everybody so much for watching tonight. I hope you had a good time.
Yes.
I guess I say this a lot. We weren't going to go this long, but it was a really fun conversation.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bring myself to cut it short.
We didn't go as long as the Mario movie, so that's good.
Because that was a movie, and this is a special.
Well, but that was 25 more minutes longer than this.
That's true. That's all it was.
So that's
but it
kind of
still was a movie.
Yeah.
That a lot more people care about than this.
Yeah, but this is still almost as long. So.
Anyway, so do you want to see a sequel to this?
No, I don't. I don't.
I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Honestly,
I want an Alien Rangers one.
Oh, yeah. Don't say that because they're not gonna have the money to do it the way I would want to see. I would want a thing set entirely on Aquatar.
Yeah.
Not really. How would you even do that? It's all water.
Yeah, it's just gonna be Avatar, but with Power Rangers.
Wouldn't it be fun to do like a planet hopping series?
Yeah.
Where we finally go to Triforia?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Billy the Kid Lawrence. Appreciate it.
That would be awesome.
Right?
Just a planet hopping. Oh.
Shoot all the super chat. May the power protect you guys. You too. Appreciate you. I guess we have to go now. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching us, whether you were watching live or after the fact. And we're going to try to come back Sunday for a double feature biopic review of Air and Tetris. We've not seen either of them yet. We were going to do this last week, and time got away from us, and we weren't able to go to the theater because it was Jason's birthday party and stuff. But we're going to try to do that. And I gave Jason the Power Rangers role-playing game.
The entire thing.
Everything that's come out so far.
Yeah.
For his birthday. And there's a bunch of pre-orders up right now that I haven't gotten yet. But I wanted you to get started with this stuff and see if you're even into it before we get any more of it. But anyway. And I want to do more Power Rangers content. I hope we can find the time.
Yes.
Because I love talking about this stuff with you.
Let's, if we can find the time for it, let's do all of the crossovers.
It's a really good
there
idea.
are a lot. There are 8 now, I think. But maybe like we can do them in parts.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Goofstar123, a playthrough of the RPG would be awesome on the channel. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And we'd have to get a couple other people to join us probably.
Yeah.
Than just me and you and Freddie. But
yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you later, folks. Thanks a lot for watching. I've got something really cool cooking for Power Rangers next month, if all goes according to plan. And I'll announce that when we get a little bit closer and make sure that it's actually happening.
Okay.
But you know what it is.
No, but okay.
We're doing something cool Power Rangers related on the channel.
Are.
Something I want to do forever.
I didn't know we were doing that on the channel.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we're doing that instead of a Captain Logan show that night.
Cool.
But I'm going to keep that a secret for right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
Bye, folks.
Goodbye.